Hello everybody, welcome to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. I'm looking ahead to what's going to be a very busy day of some high quality racing across Britain and Ireland on Saturday the 29th of June. If you're discovering the channel for the first time, please press the subscribe button just below this screen and you'll be able to keep up with all my selections, which are always at decent prices. And I've prided myself over the years on finding loads of decent price winners and placed horses and doing well in particular at the big festivals. But I have to say this Royal Ascot was not one that I'll remember with any great fondness, unfortunately. Most of my recommendations were well backed, but even those with the all-conquering Ryan Moore on board failed to trouble the judge. It really was a washout. That's the way it goes, and we move onwards and upwards. We don't judge the success or otherwise of the service on one particular day or one particular meeting. It is over the season and the calendar year, and that's when things balance up. And every season and every calendar year since we started very, very nearly 4 years ago in early July of 2020, we've come out on top. And if you want to come out on top and have regular selections and plenty of them, at decent prices, then check out In Front, my subscription service, a link for which is available in the description box just below this screen. I've already posted 4 selections there for Saturday. There'll be more for Sunday. And of course, we're moving now into what is a really busy session with, of course, the Eclipse meeting and the July meeting. And then, of course, Glorious Goodwood and Galway Festival and so many other great meetings coming up. There'll be a lot to offer there at In Front, so check that out. But here at Sportsbet for Saturday, I have 2 selections for you. They are both at Newcastle, the feature meeting in Britain, and the first of them is the Newcastle 235, a Northumberland Vase. It is over 2 miles on the Tapater. Remember, they run all-weather racing now on the flat at Newcastle. The going is standard to slow on the Tapater. There are 14 runners. And this race is the consolation race for those who have missed the cut for the Northumberland Plate, which comes up just over half an hour later. And the 2 at the very top of the market are both trained by Ireland's Cathy O'Leary, who took over the licence from her brother Tony Martin some weeks ago when he was suspended for being a naughty boy. Very naughty. Now, she hasn't had a winner yet. She hasn't had many runners, to be fair, but she hasn't had a winner. But she does have Alphonse Legrand, who is the clear early favourite with the bookies at around 3-1, Alphonse Legrand. He arrives here on a hat-trick. Those 2 previous wins for her brother, Tony Martin, included an all-weather win at Dundalk in March over 1.5 miles. And then he stepped up to staying for the first time with a victory in impressive fashion over 2.25 miles in the Chester Plate at the track's May meeting, for which he's been raised some £8. This, of course, a very different challenge, but Alphonse Legrand is unexposed at the trip, but that 3-1 doesn't look massive value, really. Her other runner, Cathy O'Leary, is Belgo Prince, for whom James Doyle is quite an eye-catching booking. He finished second in the Sligo 2-mile handicap hurdle 18 days ago, but whether he's going to stay 2 miles at a strong place on the flat remains to be seen. He's actually second favourite with many firms at around 15-2. Show No Fear represents Rebecca Menzies. It's a previous course and distance winner, and it won last time out on the flat at Ayr, and that was prior to disappointing over hurdles at Cartmel last month, where it didn't stay, I don't think, the 2.75 miles. His chance appears to have been dismissed by the bookies, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Show No Fear run well at a decent price. And despite top weight, legendary day for Adrian Keatley is feasibly handicapped now if he can recapture his best form. He did win 2 starts ago over fences at Southall, and he certainly stays, while Thalac, trained by Jolly Jim Goldie, whose horses are going well, they're really going great guns at the moment. Well, Thalac was a rock-solid third over 1.5 miles at Hamilton recently, and it should be noted that he was a fine third in this very race 12 months ago, and he actually now runs off a £6 lower mark, so there are plenty of pointers to the chance of Thalac. Tim Easterby's Zimmerman, I think, will prefer an easier surface, having done most of his winning on turf on soft ground, and he hasn't really fired on all cylinders in 3 runs so far this season, but his stable companion for Tim Easterby, Marbuzet, has run well enough on each of his last 3 starts, and this longer trip might help the cause. The joker in the pack, mind you, could be Brian Ellison's Chile, who hasn't raced previously beyond 1 mile and 3/4. It's very interesting that Ellison, who loves having winners at this meeting, is a local boy, chooses now to go up in trip, and Chile has won at the track before, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a market move for him. But my selection in the Northumberland Vase is Have You Missed Me, trained by Ian Jardine and the man of Andrew Mullen. This is a horse that does stay well proven, and he likes the track and this surface, and he's won here twice from 10 starts and been second a further 3 times. Indeed, he was second to the talented Zoffy in this very race 2 years ago of level weights. Zoffy, of course, going on to win the Chester Cup this year. And at the end of the 2022 season, Have You Missed Me won over this course and distance off a mark of 85. Unfortunately, racing being racing, unfortunately for all concerned with the horse, he met with a setback at the end of the 2022 season and was off for 13 months. He hasn't won in 8 attempts since then. However, this March, which was his penultimate start, he ran again over the course and distance. He came back to the 2 miles at Newcastle, and he shaped much better than his previous efforts when he finished second. And he actually caught a bit of a tartar because he was beaten by the multiple winner, the Crafty Master, who was actually recording his 7th win from his previous 8 starts, so he really did run into one. He was also conceding the Crafty Master £8. I think the return to this track and what might now be a potentially favourable handicap mark makes Have You Missed Me an interesting each-way prospect for Jardine. Jardine also runs Bring Back Memories, by the way, and I think that at 16-1 each way for the 4 places at the time of this recording, he's worth an interest. That is Have You Missed Me 235 at Newcastle. And so we move on to the main race, the Northumberland Plate, Newcastle 310. On the standard to slow tapeter, there are 20 runners. These are the horses that did make the cut. It's the Pitman's Derby, of course, and it's going to be run in front of a massive crowd at Gosford Park. Probably going to be sunny, but even if it's absolutely pouring down, they're still going to turn up in droves. They don't shirk at the rain, do the Geordies. So Mark Prescott's been trying to win this race for decades, and he's got a couple of good chances this time. He arrives with Trooper Bisdi, who's the favourite. He's won 4 of his last 5 at a lower level. He's a proven stayer, arriving in form. Whether he's got the class to step up and win at this level remains to be seen, and he's running under a £5 penalty incurred for a win at Pontefract early this week. So Mark also runs True Legend, who's yet to win over further than 1 mile and 3/4, but he failed by only a short head to win over that trip at Goodwood last time. He is a previous winner at this venue, so I think he might be the better of the Prescott pair. We'll have to wait and see. He's a much bigger price. Now, Zoffy, who we mentioned in relation to the form of Have You Missed Me in the previous race, is trained by Hugo Palmer, and of course he produced that fine performance to get up late and win the Chester Cup. He was a tip for My Followers Are Out in Front that day earlier this season. He's gone up £4 for that win, which looks fair. He was only 15th, it has to be noted, in this race 12 months ago, but he did win the Northumberland Vase consolation race in 2022, so maybe last year it was just a blip. I expect him to go well, and Palmer also runs Solent Gateway, who was an excellent 3rd in this race 2 years ago, behind the mighty Trushan in what was a world record-breaking handicap performance from Trushan that day. And Solent Gateway hinted at a return to form when he was a good 3rd at Haydock last time out. Now, the top weight is Tashcam for Brian Ellison, a horse who's really classy. He was last seen in action, finishing 3rd in Group 1 company in the Pre-Royal Oak at Longshot in October. He previously finished 3rd in the Cesarewitch under a big weight off a mark of 109, another excellent effort. It would be a huge performance if he was to win off Saturday's mark, especially as without a previous run this campaign. And local boy Ellison also runs One Smooth Operator, who was sent to the useful Pridwen in a pretty hot all-weather race at Southwell in late April on his most recent start. Now, another classy horse in this race is the Irish Raider Yashin, trained by Jessica Harrington, a fairly close 3rd to the subsequent Ascot Gold Cup winner, Kyprios, in Group 3 company at the Curragh last time. He might not be far away again, Yashin. While Michael Bell runs Duke of Oxford, who I think can be forgiven a rare poor run last time out in the Chester Cup. He was drawn out in the car park and he never got into the race. On his previous all-weather form, he is a definite contender, but again, he's been unlucky with the draw. He's got stalled 20, and even over 2 miles, it means he's going to have to do a bit of running to get in amongst them. And that's the thing that just has put me off. Forza Rota is another of interest, making his all-weather bow. He didn't get home over 2¼ miles in the Chester Cup after holding every chance a furlong out, but he is nicely weighted on that run with Zoffy. Now, I'll be backing 2 in this race, one of which I have passed on to my subscribers at Out in Front. The other one is my selection here. And 2 years ago, in this very race, Spirit Mixer, trained by Andrew Balding and the man of George Rook, gave Trushan a real run for his money. It was a historic race because Trushan won the race off the highest handicap mark ever of 120, but he had to pull out all the stops to see off Spirit Mixer that day. It was a massive effort from the winner, and it was also a great effort from Spirit Mixer. Now, the truth is, it's been quite tough for Spirit Mixer since then, but he's only run 6 times in the last 2 years. However, last time out, having been in the doldrums for quite a while, he showed a bit of his old spark where he stayed on to be 3rd at Goodwood, and he was sticking to his guns at the finish, which I was pleased to see. So now that he's off a mark £8 lower than when he was 2nd in this race to a brilliant horse, Trushan, in 2022, I think that Spirit Mixer might just outrun his odds. And at the time of this recording, and I'm just checking now for you, he is still 33 to 1 each way for 5 places with Ladbrokes. So Spirit Mixer is my choice for you in the Northumberland Plate, the 310 at Newcastle on Saturday. Those are my 2 for you on Saturday. Remember, if you want more selections, check out the link and sign up and join me at Out in Front. But that's it for this week. I wish you the best of luck and hope we get a proper run for our money. Bye-bye for now.